Good evening. Oh. If you weren't here last Wednesday evening, I just wish to let you know that we have shortened our program. We are not going to 8:30, no 8:45, no quarter after 8. We wish to quit promptly at 8. Maybe 5 minutes before 8, and so that we will be out of here by 8 o'clock. Not because we wish to bypass or shorten the seriousness of the meeting tonight, but merely because last Wednesday evening I also passed out a handout. It was from the writings of Ellen White, and it also had one sheet that had the church manual. And each, whether it's the writings of Ellen White or whether it was the church manual page, the church manual page says 15 to 20 minutes max for this time, for the Bible study or for the study on Sister White. 15 to 20 minutes. She also said that the meeting should be intensely interesting. I'm not Pastor Hoffacker, forgive me. But with all of us together, pitching in, we can make it as interesting as we wish to make it. This evening we're discussing Matthew 5:30, and we need 2 volunteers. One volunteer to read Matthew 5:30, which is at the top of the sheet, and another one to be willing to read the first paragraph of page 60, paragraph 2. We'll start with Matthew 5:30. Who would like to read that first? Joyce.
If thy right hand causes thee to stumble. If thy right hand causes thee to stumble, cut it off and cast it from thee. Matthew 5:30.
Thank you. The very first question, if a person is willing to cut off their hand if it causes him to stumble, what should be his or her reaction to something that imperils the soul? Far more serious. If you cut off a leg or a foot because of some health situation, how much more serious is it to cut off a hand? Is it necessary? And the answer will be in very second paragraph of page 60. Who would like to read that for us? Starts with to prevent disease.
It says to prevent disease from spreading to the body and destroying life, a man would submit to part even with his right hand. Much more should he be willing to surrender that which imperils the life of the soul.
Okay, what's the answer to that question? What should our reaction be? Be willing to do what?
Whatever it takes.
Tamara.
So if something is taking you away from Christ and following his will, you should be willing to cut it off completely. So if it's maybe the internet or some TV program or something else that is drawing you away from God, you should be willing to just let it go completely.
Yes. Sometimes that's very hard to do, but we must. We must. Question number 2. God is willing to deliver and save us from what? And that also is found in the 3rd paragraph, same page, 3rd paragraph. Who would like to read, starting the paragraph 3, the first 2 sentences? The first 2 sentences, paragraph 3, starts with, through the gospel. Through the gospel, souls that are degraded and enslaved by Satan are to be redeemed to share the glorious liberty of the sons of God. And here's the answer in this next sentence. God's purpose is not merely to deliver from the suffering that it is the inevitable result of sin, but to what? But to save from sin itself. That's the ultimate reason, the ultimate purpose. Question number 3, why is the soul to be purified? The very next sentence after where I left off. The answer is found in there. Starts with the soul corrupted and deformed. Who'd like to read that?
The soul corrupted and deformed is to be purified, transformed, that it may be clothed in the beauty of the Lord our God, conformed to the image of his Son. I had not seen, not ear heard.
Okay. Thank you. You gave us a bonus. That's good. So what's the answer? What is the answer? Why is the soul to be pure? What's the answer for number 3? Why?
It needs to be purified and transformed and covered in the beauty of the Lord our God. We have to look like Christ, be like him.
Thank you. We all need purifying. We all need a heart change, body change, hair change, everything else change. But the most serious is the heart change, the renewal, restoration. Question number 4. What must be sacrificed if it causes us to stumble? And for that answer, we're going to look at page 61 and the first paragraph in the beginning. Who would like to read the very first paragraph of page 61, at least the first 2 sentences? First 2 sentences in order for us. In order for us.
In order for us to reach his high ideal, that which causes the soul to stumble must be sacrificed. It is through the will that sin retains its hold upon us.
Okay, thank you. So what's the answer? What must be sacrificed if it causes us to stumble? We sort of talked about it before. Whatever needs to be cut off. The soul, that which causes the soul, anything that causes the soul to stumble must be cut off. How about our eyes? What do we do with our eyes? That's serious.
I'm getting the picture here that it's natural for us as people to desire and do things that pleases us, to satisfy our own nature. And sometimes we look at things and we lust for them. Sometimes even our diet, sometimes we'll look at food and we'll look at it the wrong way. We tend to, we have a very easy way of wanting to satisfy ourselves, but we don't think of others that way. It's like others are secondary if we think of them at all. And Jesus, his every thought, his every desire was to reach out to others. And that is so much why we have to put aside those things that prevent us from being like him, asking the Lord to change us, because we don't naturally care about others before ourselves. And if we want to be part of his kingdom, we need to learn how that works. So that's the picture I'm getting here.
How about putting aside anything that interferes with our relationship with Jesus Christ? Anything that keeps us from looking at Jesus. I could spend time on the best vegan veggie burger on YouTube, or best campers or RVs on the market today, or whatever. I could spend time on anything like that, hiking the Appalachian Trail. But if my focus was so absorbed on that it took away my time with the Lord, I need to cut it off. Maybe, yeah. Number 5, what is represented by Jesus' words in Matthew 5:30? And then we're going to look at the third sentence in the very next sentence, same paragraph, starting with the surrender of the will.
The surrender of the will is represented as plucking out the eye or cutting off the hand.
Okay, we have the answer there, and that answer is actually what we read, Matthew 5:30. What is represented? Well, cutting it off, amputation. Question number 6, who is the fountain of life, and how can we have life? And this will be page 61, the second paragraph. And it starts with, God is the fountain of life. I just gave you the answer. Very first sentence. Who would like to read the rest of that sentence?
God is the fountain of life, and we can have life only as we are in communion with him.
Thank you. So what's the answer? God. Who was it that went to a place quite nearby looking for the fountain of life, fountain of youth? Somewhere over and around, along the beach. You must know where that is. Excuse me? Ponce de Leon? Looking for the fountain of youth. Well, he didn't need to do all that traveling. He could have found the fountain of youth if he just opened the book. He would have learned about him. Question number 7. What must we have? What must we do to have life imparted to us and to have sin overcome? Same paragraph, only the next third and fourth sentences. What was it? Only through
Only by receiving his life through self-surrender is it possible, said Jesus, for these hidden sins which I have pointed out to be overcome.
Thank you.
It is
Thank you. You gave the answer. Can you also read the sentence just before the one you started with? Only through the surrender.
only through the surrender of our will to God is it possible for him to impart life to us.
Okay, thank you so much. So what is the answer to question number 7? Surrendering our will to God. Self-surrender, no matter what. Again, cutting it off, amputating. Question number 8. What must we not do? And this is found in, again, the first paragraph of the very next page, 62, paragraph 1. Who would like to read that whole paragraph? 62, paragraph 1. Starts with, if you cling to self.
If you cling to self, which I'm working on here, asking the Lord, refusing to yield your will to God, you are, choosing death. Do I keep reading?
Yes.
Because that was pretty scary right there. to sin wherever found, God is a consuming fire. If you choose sin and refuse to separate from it, the presence of God, which consumes sin, must consume you. Wow.
Is it possible to be a sin addict? There are other forms of addictions, other addictions. How easy is it? Is a sin addiction a serious problem? What sort of vaccine shot is there for sin addiction? How come there's no mandates out for sin addiction? Prison time for sin.
I'm sorry, we love to sin. And I'm going to have to be honest here. Everything we've just been reading tonight is not normally intuitive because of our sinful nature. The idea that we are to have life, unless Jesus touches your heart, you don't think of going to God to have life. You want to go do whatever your heart wants to do. You want to live free to do whatever you want. That's what you think is living. And see, the enemy makes us think that that is living. And it's actually, you're dying. You know, just the fact that he told Eve, oh yeah, you'll be like God if you eat this fruit. Anything that he tells you, it looks great, but in the end, it just leads to death because it separates us from God and what he wants us to enjoy life really the way he has designed it to be. You know.
I have a question for you. It's not on the sheet. At what time in our life is the sin addiction urge the strongest? At what time in our life does the evil one press about us strongly like no other time in our life? Tamara?
I think it's all the time because, yes, when sometimes people think, well, if you're at puberty or something, that's a real pressing time. But I think sometimes people, when they get older like me, they think, oh, well, I don't have the same kind of temptations, but God, the devil uses whatever things tempt you at whatever stage of life you're in. It doesn't matter what age you're in. So.
Okay, thank you, Brother Hector.
She made me think of something here, and I guess it's I'm speaking to within my own heart. It seems to me, for me, the first time that I yielded to a sin, it was easier to do it the next time. It's like the devil had to place my eyes on it, and then once he had me there, he didn't have to really push me to do it again and again. I had to turn around and say, Lord, I need you to help me to put this away. That's what I've been seeing in my life.
The evil one knows what buttons to push for Hector.
Yes, he does.
He knows exactly what buttons to push for Glenn. I personally believe that the greatest attacks that the evil one brings upon each of us is right after a week of prayer, or right after a communion service, or maybe even Saturday evenings. Sometimes young couples will be attacked on Friday night or Sabbath morning. Why are they attacked? Because the evil one doesn't want them to go to church. There are times of where we have received the greatest spiritual blessing. The evil one wants to wipe that blessing away from us and say, hey, that guy is just a phooey. And so you came to church Sabbath and you received a spiritual blessing, but become Saturday night when you do whatever after sunset, I'm going to take that blessing away from you.
That's war.
And that's war. To wipe away any spiritual blessing that we've received as Satan's intended purpose. Number 9, what sort of sacrifice must we give? Page 62, second paragraph. Page 62. Who will read that? It will require, let me see, our will. Actually, we'll start with the very first sentence. It will require sacrifice. The first and third sentence. Who would like to read that? Joyce.
It will require sacrifice to give yourself to God, but it is a sacrifice of the lower for the higher, the earthly for the spiritual, the perishable for the eternal. God does not design that our will should be destroyed, for it is only through its exercise that we can accomplish what he would have us to do. Our will is to be yielded to him, that we may receive it again, purified and refined, and so linked in sympathy with the divine, that he can pour through us the tithe of his love and power, however bitter and painful this surrender may appear to the willful, wayward heart, yet it is profitable for thee.
Thank you. How easy is it to sacrifice our will? How easy it is to say, hey, you're in charge, Lord. I can't do it. May your way prevail. It isn't always easy, is it? But unless we give that surrender, give ourselves to him, and do that, Brother Hector.
It seems to me that it's hard, but the more that we make a habit of doing it, suddenly it starts to become easier and easier, and we see his love. That's what it just motivates you, and just, you know, Lord, it's time for me to let that go. Thank you for your patience with me. I surrender it to you. And if we make a habit, and that's why we need to keep our eyes focused on him and not let the devil, like you were saying, because the devil goes to war as soon as he sees, oh, okay, I'm going to lose this one. I better start throwing things at him. And we just have to keep our eyes on the Lord Jesus. And it becomes better and better for us as time goes by.
How much evil we would avoid if we kept our eyes fixed upon Jesus. And yes. God bless each of you for participating tonight and helping out with the reading. Next week, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife? You won't want to miss that. You come back next week and you'll find out the answer. Yes. Is it lawful for a man to put away his wife? Come next week and we'll discuss it. Shall we stand for prayer? Oh, precious Father, may we surrender our all to you. Make us willing, dear Lord, to cut off that which offends. Make us willing to put aside that which would cause us to stumble. Go with us now and keep us and bring us back again soon to worship together with you in your holy name.